Welcome back to the new adventures of the monad. We will now look far into the future and consider the attributes of the 6th and 7th root races. It is one thing looking at the Akashic records and trying to distill a timeline of events and interpret those events with accuracy. It is a whole new ball game when you are crystal ball gazing. What I have noticed in the narrative of the various authors I have studied is that they frame the future within the cultural constraints they have experienced. This should come as no surprise. So guess what? When I decode their writing, I am going to overlay my cultural paradigm in what I convey here. So, let us begin. In accordance with the general plan, the 6th root race will be created from the 6th subrace of the 5th root race. It will eventually take possession of a continent, according to Ledbetter, now rising slowly, fragment after fragment in the Pacific. Many thousands of years hence, North America will be shattered into pieces. A western strip on which the 6th root race will be founded will then become the easternmost strip of the new continent. This may all sound rather alarming, but remember, the 6th root race is not destined to get into gear fully for another 20,000 years. So no need to move just yet. Whilst the little colony, which will be the germ of the new race, is being founded, the 6th root race will be at its zenith, and all the pomp and glory of the world will be concentrated in this civilization. The author of this recounting tells us that the colony will be a sorry place in the eyes of the world, a gathering of cranks slavishly devoted to their leader. I feel this would only be the case if there is a cycling down of the 5th root race after it reaches its zenith. It still seems, however, possible that this body of humans will be so eccentric that they will be considered odd by the mainstream. The Chohan Moya will be the Manu of the 6th root race and Kuthumi its Bodhisattva. Who would populate this colony? It would be a group of monads who would be drawn together that are sufficiently interested in esoterics and possess the necessary envelope development to help the Manu in the founding of his new race. Rigorous self-training will be necessary, involving supreme self-sacrifice and self-effacement, as well as complete confidence in the wisdom of the leaders. Students of esoterics are aware that it is sometimes possible, by methods of advanced clairvoyance, to see the future. Occasionally, in considerable detail. Bishop W.C. Ledbetter states that by utilizing this faculty, he was able to see a good deal of the circumstances of the founding of the 6th root race colony. He gives in Man Whence, How and Whither an exceedingly interesting and a full account of what he saw, and from that account the presentation has been compiled, with my own biases. The description given here is condensed so that those who wish to gather further details must refer to the original account. The colony or community will be founded in Lower California about 600 years from now. A large and beautiful estate will be purchased, and under the supervision of the Manu and his lieutenants, a magnificent group of buildings will be erected. They will comprise a central temple or cathedral, vast buildings arranged as libraries, museums, and council halls, with perhaps 400 dwelling houses surrounding them. Complicated machinery will be installed. For this, think computers. I'm sure Ledbetter was clueless about what he may have seen. He says that the colonists soon learnt how to make and repair everything they needed, thus becoming independent of the outside world. The community, however, keeps in touch with the rest of the world, acquainting itself with all the discoveries, inventions, and improvements in machinery. This sounds like a gated community. The Manu himself incarnates in order to set the physical type of the race and bring it into line with the thought form of the Logos or Manu of the 6th root race. After about 150 years, the community numbers about 100,000. All of them, with a few exceptions, direct descendants of the Manu. The Manu himself has 12 children, one born under each sign of the zodiac. Large families are the rule, there being no infant mortality. The community pays a nominal tax to the general government of the country, and in return is left almost entirely alone. Since it soon becomes self-supporting, it is popularly regarded with great respect, the life of its members being considered beautiful, interesting, but unnecessarily ascetic and somewhat curious. Visitors are permitted, but no members of the colony may intermarry with non-members. This would sound alarm bells in our current context, but let us assume the Manu knows what he's doing. The people of the community are a selection of a selection. They are perfectly aware of and utterly devoted to the work of their Manu and leader, which is the founding of the new race. In him they have the fullest possible confidence, and they have thoroughly trained themselves to put aside their own personalities so that they may carry out his wishes wholeheartedly. The Manu's rule is undisputed. He has a council of about a dozen highly developed pupils, some of them already 45 cells. That is seriously evolved by human standards, as they are not even human. New experiments are constantly being made to increase the welfare and efficiency of the race. All council members can function freely on the lower planes, at least up to the causal body. They are therefore in perpetual meditation, consulting each other, even in the act of administering their own lives. Everyone is clearly an I3 or above, and therefore would be telepathic with their soul group and adjacent groups. Religious opinion current in society, according to Ledbetter, is based on theosophy and understood to a much greater degree than it is today. You know, I would say that the basic of esoteric foundation of thought would be Hylozoics, and to back up my claim, look at who the Bodhisattva is. By this time, the facts of life after death and the nature of the higher worlds are matters of experimental knowledge for nearly all the citizens of the wider community. Some follow higher philosophy and metaphysics, but the majority of the populace still prefer to express their religious feelings in the different temples which will be described shortly. The people are essentially practical. Their science and religion are in perfect accord, bent to the one object of serving the community. Many salute the rising sun but regard him as a center in the body of the deity. In the sequestered community, devas take part in people's religious life and habitually come among the community who benefit from the constant communication and instruction the devas afford. The devas work regularly under the chief priest, you know who, because he is in supreme charge of both religion and education. There are 4 types of temple services, the management of these being the special function of the devas. The keynote of the temple services is to provide each person with an avenue of expression through which they can more easily reach the higher worlds and can be most easily reached by influences from those higher worlds. The 4 kinds of temples work through affection, devotion, sympathy, and intellect respectively. The object is to bring the prominent quality in the person into an active and conscious relationship with the corresponding quality in the Logos, of which they are a manifestation. Every service is intended to have a definite and calculated effect upon the person. The services for a year or series of years being carefully ordered with a view to the average development of the congregation and with the idea of carrying its members upwards to a certain point. The Crimson or Affection Temple works principally by color and affects mainly the emotional 48 and unity 46 bodies of the worshippers. It is circular and to a great extent open to the environment. The worshippers sit on the pavement, close their eyes and pass before their mental vision a succession of colors, each person having an order of their own. This corresponds to a preliminary prayer and is intended to calm the student, helping them collect their thoughts and attune themselves to the surrounding atmosphere. When the service commences, the Deva materializes in a glorified human form. It wears rich crimson vestments and positions itself on the apex of a pyramid or conical erection of filigree work in the center of the building. The Deva then causes to flash above its head a band of brilliant colors, which is a thought expressed in the color language of the Devas and serves as the text or keynote of that particular service. It is intelligible as well as physically visible to the congregation. Each person now imitates the Deva's color band, making a smaller copy of it in the air in front of themselves. The Deva then pours out a stream of influence through its own color form, which reaches each worshipper and uplifts them through their own smaller color form. Through the officiating Deva is also poured a stream of influence from a ring of higher Devas. A sea of crimson light suffuses the vast aura of the Deva, spreading over the congregation and stirs their emotions to greater activity, evoking the highest affection of which they are capable. The Deva next reverses the current of its force, drawing all the fiery streams into themselves and passing them as one vast fountain to a circle of waiting Devas, who again pass it to the chief Deva of their ray. The chief Deva collects similar streams from all the parts of the world and combines them into one great river, which flows around the feet of the deity. I presume this monad, referred to as a primary deity, is the planetary Logos, or one rung below, the chain Logos. The Logos instantly responds, sending a flood of power through the chief Deva to the people in benediction, affecting for good not only the individual worshippers, but also the surrounding district. Sometimes the Devas deliver a sort of color sermon, mostly without spoken words, passing the colors through a series of transformations and showing the effect of love upon other people. Incense of various kinds is used throughout the service, acting mainly upon the etheric bodies of the participants. That all sounds highly impressive and would make going to a church/temple service worthwhile. You now not only come away feeling uplifted, but get a light show thrown in for free. We have 3 more temples to visit to learn what the congregations get up to there. See you next time. Thank you.